This is the future of the UK that we're talking about. First of all, I'm going to do a reaction to the Piers Morgan, Andrew Tate interview / debate. And then we're just going to go into my general thoughts about the reason why the riots are happening, what the real issue is, and what needs to be done moving forwards. I thought it was a good debate. You know, you're hearing different sides of the spectrum. Some people thought Andrew Tate got absolutely grilled. I think that's the majority. And some people thought that Andrew Tate did quite well to come back to all the fire that Piers Morgan had. I thought Piers definitely came out on top. They've had a few debates now, and I think Tate usually comes out on top, but not on this one. I think it was just very, very clear that Tate was wrong with the misinformation spread, although he struggled to admit it. One thing I will give him credit for is I watch a lot of Piers Morgan debates, and a lot of people just never answer the questions, or they're so biased that they'll always stick on their side. Whereas Tate was admitting majority of the time where he was wrong, or he was answering the majority of questions. Problem with Tate is it seems like sometimes he tries to do good in the world, but then he's just got that bad bone in his body and he can't help himself. Not only did he spread misinformation, which added fuel to the fire, but then he just does the extra stuff by being on Twitter all day, posting his rhetoric, and then, you know, posting a picture of a brown person come to the UK on a boat. You're just sending out the wrong message. It's just about accepting sometimes that you're wrong. And also the problem with Tate is that he's wearing so many hats, and that's not a big problem if you're gonna, assess all sides of the story. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna look at where the far right are coming from, the Muslim people are coming from, and give my thesis. However, the problem with Tate is he goes so hard for whatever he believes in, right? So he's really pro-Islam, which is great, but then that's conflicting with his views on backing, the right so hard. He did well to deal with Farage throwing him under the bus. I think sometimes the ethnic minority, you shouldn't try hard to fit in. You've obviously done well for yourself. You're a mixed race man that's converted to Islam. Just stay in your own lane. You don't need to be backed by Farage. However, yeah, I do completely agree that, look, just because someone's throwing you under the bus, you can agree with some of the things they say. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's like me, I'm not an Andrew Tate fan, but I can say when he's done well in a debate. Piers did a great job of really honing in on Andrew Tate. Did you do the wrong thing? Do you expel Tommy Robinson? Did you do the wrong thing by spreading misinformation? And Tate's response was pretty weak. Yeah, it was the fact that he was not an immigrant, but he was a migrant. It's like, mate, come on. Technically, you were a migrant as well. Let's get on to the riots. The problem is, the real reason why the riots have started was because a lot of people in the UK are discreetly racist. And all it takes is an incident like the Southport stabbings to get people riled up and show how they really feel. We saw the same with Brexit. There was no need to come out Brexit, but look, Brexit out, we saw how people really felt. And it's that stupid ideology, the immigrants are coming in and taking our jobs. Well, since Brexit, guess what? There's loads of jobs. The NHS were begging for staff, but people don't want to do it. People prefer to be on benefits, live off that, and then come out and riot at stupid things like this. So the Southport stabbings, I think it's actually unfair to blame Tate and Tommy Robinson. Now, did they spread misinformation that adds fuel to the fire? Yes, but these are fully grown men that are coming out to these riots, and they make their own decisions. They're not babies, they're not little kids, they're not toddlers. They make their own decisions. And the reason that they're coming out is, majority, I would say, is because they have this, again, dumb ideology that immigrants are coming and taking their jobs, although there's loads of jobs, so it's just absolute bollocks. And because of the misinformation spread about the Southport stabber. How does one incident turn you from, living your life day to day, normal person, to then burning down buildings with immigrants in? It's mob mentality, and it's absolutely ridiculous. The actual real issue that we need to deal with is the fact that the UK's immigration law is absolutely crap. 1 million immigrants came into the UK last year, and we're a country of 65, 66, 67 million. That's way too many people coming into the country. Our vetting process is crap. We don't really know anything about them. And we should be like Australia. The only people that are coming in should be skilled people, nurses, doctors, etc. Now, do I sympathize with the immigrants? Of course, they want a better life. However, the UK can't just be open to everybody, because then what? We're just a country full of immigrants. It doesn't make any sense. Now, I actually wasn't opposed to the Rwanda bill. I know some people were highly against it, and that fell through. I mean, it could have gone two ways. It could have caused civil unrest with people in Rwanda, or it could have been something that actually created sustainable lives over time. So I was all in favour of that. That didn't go through, and now we're just stuck with a massive mess. What annoys me is some people have tried to say that's the reason why the riots started. Not at all. And if that was the real reason why the riots started, then why are you not going out and protesting outside government buildings? Why are you starting on immigrants that have done absolutely nothing to you? It's just absolutely ridiculous, and you're seeing how people really feel. Now, I've got mates of mine, and they don't support the riots, but they have said, well, I feel like it's really unfair that, the coverage of only being of the far right and not some of the Muslim rights. I mean, let's admit, Muslim rights have been in retaliation to the far riots, but yeah, of course, both are to blame. Both have got out of hand, and I completely agree with that. And you can argue that this is, the media's way to try, or the government's way to try and control us, and this will lead to more censorship, and chips will come in. I know all the different theories and whatnot, which I completely understand, because let's admit, it's just causing chaos. But it also is very, very scary. It shows how easy it is to control people. People have become so emotional. An incident like the Southport stabbing can, roll people up to just act inhumane. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Southport stabbing was absolutely disgusting and horrific. However, that should not lead you to start on random immigrants that have done nothing to you. Another thing that a couple of my friends mentioned was they basically thought that the UK have become really, really soft on Muslims. But, as someone that's an ethnic minority myself, although I am a third generation Brit, so that's why I think I can offer a very nuanced perspective. That is not the case, especially to black people. I've been at the hands of police brutality, guys. And guess what? When it was a BLM, riots and whatnot, it did not lead me to go and loot stores and act like a hooligan. I reflected on things that have happened in my life. I had chats with very good friends of mine. I educated some friends of mine as well on some of the things that I've experienced and racism as a whole and how rife it actually can be. But I didn't go out there and act like an idiot. And trust me, police brutality is close to my heart. Knowing people that have gone through it, I've gone through it myself, and the police got the complete wrong end of the stick. George Floyd lit a fire in my belly. What happened to Sonia Massey lit a fire in my belly recently. People's true colours and their true racist views. And Tate was right in what he said. The brown people in the UK, whatever you want to describe it, Asian people in the UK, black people in the UK, ethnic minorities in the UK have a lot more in common with the people that are going on these far right marches, which, let's admit, it is low poverty English people, than they think. The main issue is the way that the government have dealt with immigration. It shouldn't be with random immigrants. We can't just be absolutely savage and barbaric. So the riots just completely need to stop, and we all need to align and enforce the government to have a stricter vetting process when it comes to immigration. Another point as well, I feel like a lot of the frustration that is coming from, the far right movement, white men, is because they feel they've lost their voice. However, that is definitely true to a certain degree, but that's mainly due to woke culture and extreme feminism. That's not due to immigration. This, anger and vitriol is actually coming from a mixture of different societal and political issues, and they're rolling it all in and turning their anger towards the immigrants, which I don't think is the case. I've got a podcast that I actually tried to get Tony Robinson on myself. If someone from the Islamic community wants to come on and have a debate or offer their opinion and their views on the way things are going in the UK, someone from the far right, you are more than welcome. This is all about having open discourse to learn and understand from other people's point of views. I have my podcast, Step Up Unfiltered, on the second and fourth Thursday of every single month. And I do also allow bonus episodes on a Saturday. So get in touch with me. My is step_up_unfiltered on Instagram. Shout me if you're ready to share your opinion.